What's going on, Kings? In this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about my opinion of the shaved head. Now that's been a few weeks, give you some experiences that I've had with it, just for anybody who's considering doing this as well. Just now that I've done it, what do I think of it? Things like that. And then I want to pivot that into a conversation about your persona, choosing your personality as a man. Now, in this video, I've got some notes written down on this page down here. I'm probably not going to cut. This seems like the kind of video I just want to talk to you guys and really just keep it kind of unprofessional a little bit. So I'm going to look down at my notes a little bit just to make sure I address everything. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is, what do I think of this shaved head? So for anybody out there who's considering this, I would highly recommend it. I actually looked at a study today as well on this subject of what do women think of guys with shaved heads. And it was a study done by the University of Pennsylvania in 2012, I believe it was. And the findings from the study said that women preferred guys according to their rating, what they said was men who were, who had a shaved head or were bald or whatever. They were rated as more dominant, more masculine, more confident. I can't remember what the other one, more authoritative, something like that. They were rated slightly less attractive. Now, I guess that's really up to you to pick, kind of like, do you want to be the pretty boy type, or do you want to embrace more of your other masculine qualities? At the end of the day, the choice was being made for me, so I opted for the shaved head, and I really do like it a lot. And also from the study, they said that people who have receding hairlines but are kind of like trying to cover it up, or they're not shaving it, they looked the worst. They were the least attractive, and they were the least rated on all those other things, masculinity, dominance, all those different things. So it really just kind of comes down to who you want to be and all those kinds of things in your own personal situation when it comes to that. I have certainly not noticed any women like being repulsed by me. When they say attractive, what I think they mean is kind of that more like feminine standard of beauty, like who's more attractive. Like, I guess in an objective, like attractive sense, yeah, somebody with a full head of hair is probably more attractive than somebody with a shaved head. That just is what it is. But again, what do women judge men on when they find them attractive? And I think it's less than just like pretty boy features and stuff like that. But that'll be up for you to decide. Now, my own personal take on it is I really like it. I've noticed within myself a little bit of a shift. I just kind of feel a little more assertive. I actually do. I think maybe it's just because I'm owning the fact that I had this issue that had been bugging me for a while. I do think it looks better. I need to get a tan on my scalp at this point. I shaved it a lot shorter this time, just because I didn't want to deal with it for a while. But honestly, here's the other thing for you guys out there who are a little insecure about this, is the only people who have mentioned anything about this to me are the people who I'm closest with. Literally no one else has said a word. They might notice, they might not, but that's really just like, it's kind of like good and bad. Part of me wanted everyone to be like, oh, he shaved the head, like make it this big deal. And on the other hand, that's kind of cool, because it's like, honestly, like nobody really gives a fuck what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could get smacked by a bus today and everyone would forget in a week. So, I mean, it's just kind of the nature of life, right? So that's another important part about it. So my overall take on it is, if you're somebody who does have a noticeable receding hairline, go ahead and get this done. Pull the trigger, and it will shift your personality a little bit. And that's when I wanted to shift into this idea of your persona and your personality, and changing your personality as a man, and have a conversation I think is really important to have. This is something I'd started to notice. So when I shaved the head, I started to look at myself in a different way a little bit. I stopped trying to fit into this old mold, and I think it allowed me to kind of evolve into a new chapter of my life. And I don't want to make this into like this huge thing. I literally shaved my head. It's not like the biggest deal ever, but it was more of just a sign of a transformation. And so with that, I wanted to talk about persona. Now, persona gets a bad rap because people think persona means you're faking something, right? Oh, he's putting on an act. He's a persona, whatever. And in my life to this point, I've been the guy who liked NASCAR when I was a kid, right? I thought I wanted to be a NASCAR driver. Then I was the sneakerhead basketball dude. Then I was the country music concert getting drunk guy. I was the college football guy. I was the atheist socialist. I was the Christian conservative. I was the free market libertarian politically, all these different ideas. I was the intellectual. I was the stoner. You know what I'm saying? I was the beta male. I was the alpha male. I was the guy who talked to the girls. I was the guy who was afraid to talk to the girls. I was the guy who got cheated on by a girl, and I was the guy who a girl cheated on her guy with. So I've been all these different things, and at this point now that I've shaved the head and I'm kind of stepping into a new chapter of my life in general, getting a new place, getting a new car, getting all these things, just kind of updating my life in a lot of ways. I'm changing my persona again. And so what this made me realize was I was looking back on all these different parts of myself I'd been. Like I said, I've been all these different kind of characters, I guess you could say. And some people would say that was me trying to find myself. He's trying to find who he is. And there was some truth to that for sure. But now that I'm looking at it like none of those people that I was, those personas I had, personalities, whatever, are any less authentic than any other one as I look back on it. There was no part of me, like I thought for a long time, like after I would shift, I'd be like, oh yeah, that was me trying to find myself, or that was me trying to find myself there, that was me trying to go through this. And yeah, that's true. But I just want to talk about this whole thing of like people talk about finding their authentic self. And I'm really starting to think there isn't an authentic self. I think this is what a lot of guys say, like when they talk about girls, like, oh, I'm not going to change. Why should I have to change for a girl? Like, she should love me the way I am. Guys will say that shit, and it's stupid because, like, that just basically implies you're not going to grow at all in your life. And that's you playing a persona. You're playing this crybaby nice guy who doesn't want to change. So even that is a persona. So the thing is, you're always going to play a persona in life. There's literally nothing you can do about it. You can be the spiritual guy who's all zenned out and all this shit. That's your persona, whether you like it or not. The key is to be conscious about the persona you're choosing. Because otherwise, this is how you spend years of your life doing one unconscious decision after another unconscious decision after another unconscious decision. And then you look up and you have no idea how you wound up where you're at, why you're friends with the people you're friends with, or any of those kinds of things. And I would say any time that I was actually trying to find myself and I looked back and was like, what the hell was I doing? It was every time it was because I was just unconsciously making choices. Okay, I'll do this. And I wasn't actually being conscious about the decisions I was making and who I wanted to be. And that's the key when it comes to your persona, is to understand that you can be who you want to be. The key is just to be conscious about the choice of who you want to be. Now, there's a story I want to tell you guys about. It's really interesting. It's really crazy. And this will kind of hone in on my point that I'm trying to make. So there were these policemen from Germany during Nazi Germany, and they were sent to Poland. Some of you might have heard this if you're a Jordan Peterson fan. They were sent to Poland to do law enforcement in occupied Poland. And they were told when they went over to Poland, these were just normal cops, mind you. They were not Nazi like SS or Gestapo or anything. They were just normal German police officers. They were told, you're going to have to do some kind of gruesome stuff while you're here. And they all kind of like, they were told, you can back out if you want to back out. None of them backed out because they didn't want to look like a pussy in front of each other. Fair point, right? So they all go to Poland, and at the beginning of the book, they're just normal guys, right? They're normal law enforcement trying to do the job. By the end of the book, they've got naked pregnant women in the back, in fields, shooting them in the back of the head. Like, this just shows you the shift in personality people can have. And somebody will say, oh, they were playing a persona or whatever, but that's the point, right? Their persona at first was, I'm this cop, law enforcement, I'm trying to protect the peace and all these things. By the end of the book, they're shooting pregnant women in the back of the head. Who was the real person? Well, the answer was they were both part of who you can be, because you have the potential to be anything as a human. You can be incredibly awful, you can be incredibly great. But it's up to you to make a choice consciously about who you're going to be. Now, this book highlights the fact that these guys kind of did one thing led to another, and they never stopped themselves and made the conscious choice about, no, that's not who I want to be. Because anybody can be Hitler, anybody can be George Washington, anybody can be Martin Luther King. It's about a conscious choice of who you're going to be. Obviously, there are things you're more inclined to be, right? I guarantee you it was easier for Shaquille O'Neal to be a basketball player than Muggsy Bogues, but they both made it. But Shaq's 7 feet. Like, I guarantee you his whole life he was getting it reaffirmed to him. Oh, you should play basketball, or do you play basketball? All that kind of stuff. And Muggsy Bogues probably said, I'm gonna play basketball, and everybody laughed at him because he was like 5'3" or something like that. Now, they both made it, which shows you that anybody can do whatever they want, but you got to be really conscious a lot of times when it comes to these kinds of things. Now, what else did I really wanted to mention on here? Pretty much the point of what you need to do with your life, and again, I don't know it all, obviously, but this is what I'm really starting to believe here, is you need to pick a persona consciously, and then you need to become aware of it. Okay, so the reason people make unconscious personas that they portray, maybe you're that guy who acts really confident, but deep down he's very insecure. Well, he's not aware of that, right? The loud guy, the narcissistic guy, he's usually very insecure, but he doesn't realize it. And so it's a projection in that sense. Now, when you create this persona, become aware of your motives behind it. So it's fine to be confident, but there's a difference between the narcissistic, confident guy who deep down hates himself and the confident guy who's just confident because he's confident. The difference is what's motivating you and becoming aware of those motives. So in choosing this person, make sure you're aware of your motives and also maintain a sense of detachment from it. This is where the persona actually becomes something good. Whereas a lot of people who are unconscious with it, it can be bad. It can constrict them, trap them. They'll end up being the same person for a very long time because they don't realize they're just playing a part. They think that's who I am, right? And that's how they same friends, same town for 30 years, doing the same old shit every day because they think that's who they are. They don't realize they aren't the persona. The persona is a character, and that is what the point is you need to do with this is create your persona, but maintain unattachment to it. Like an actor playing a character, that's who you are. And the world around you is going to present opportunities for you to experience more of yourself. I really think that's kind of what it is. So in losing my hair, I've now been able to pick a new persona for myself. I have no choice in that. Well, I mean, I could try and like keep the hair and not be that happy about it and try and be this older version of myself. But in shaving it, I kind of decided, I was ready for a new chapter in my life anyways. And so I started to build a new persona and embrace different parts of myself, embrace more of my masculinity, embrace more independence, embrace more aggressiveness and different qualities like that I had not fully embraced to this point. And a day will probably come where I'll pivot a little more. Like I said, I've been the artist guy. I've got a book in my room right now. It was like $35 book of breaking down every single Bob Dylan song ever written. Like I like Bob Dylan, but like I'm really not that into Bob Dylan. But like I was in this artist mode, this really artistic kind of guy mode, and now I'm not really in that mode. I'm just in a different mode. I'm in this salesman mode. I'm in this like let's get money, let's ball out, let's be like a dude, you know what I'm saying? And that's the part I'm playing right now. And the only thing to make sure of, again, is to make sure this is just who I'm playing, right? At the end of the day, you kind of got to get comfortable with the fact that you are that kind of like that void in the back of it all. Like all this stuff's just kind of happening. You're just being a part. But it's really not who you are because you can change. That's the point I'm making. You can go from a good cop to the guy shooting pregnant women in the back of the head in a field. You can be both parts. So it's really important to maintain unattachment so you can be conscious about who you're trying to be. Now, I think that's pretty much all I really had to say in this video. But really, all I got to say, guys, I'm just going to wrap it up here before I start droning on too much, is, again, be conscious and be aware of the motives behind this persona, because your persona does create its shadow. It creates the opposite. Once you come to terms with that shadow, it will stop inflicting damage on you. So if you want to be the masculine guy, you got to come to terms with why. Maybe you feel like you were not loved because you were not enough of a man, or you feel insecure. Maybe you got beat in fights, or you were the bottom of the totem pole. Like, these were things I had to come to terms with. And now I can do it from a more clear place rather than being the masculine guy as this projection of my own weakness, which I tried to do several years ago, and it backfired on me. So that's really all I'd say, guys, is get clear on that persona. Who do you want to be? It's not a bad thing to have a persona. You have to have a persona. Get clear on the motives behind it. Let go of any shadow, negative energy behind it, negative experiences or beliefs about yourself that are the opposite of that. And then just be that person you want to be and be okay with it, and you will change over time. That's the nature of life. That's the good thing about life. I would not want to be the same person now that I was 5 years ago, and I don't want to be the same person 5 years from now that I am right now. But I'm going to enjoy who I want to be right now. You see what I'm saying? So, guys, if you got something out of this video, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you later.